Am I the asshole for not visiting my in-laws after my brother-in-law told my son to call him daddy? IF 35 lost my husband a year ago in a car accident. This was the most devastating thing that ever happened in my entire life, and I gotta say I lost dear ones before this tragedy. And it's completely different kind of pain. I have a 3-year-old son that my in-laws help take care of. My mother-in-law, sister and brother-in-law have been supportive and helped a lot. My brother-in-law would literally spoils my son with new toys and clothes, and they do a lot of activities together. My brother-in-law is divorced and he's been coming to my in-laws' house all the time. I'd have either my mother-in-law or brother-in-law babysit my son while I work. My job requires me to go on trips between 5 days to 2 weeks, depends on my circumstances. And I had my first business trip after my husband's passing 3 weeks ago. My brother-in-law offered to look after my son while I'm gone, and I thought nothing of it, but was a bit worried since my late husband was the one to look after our son whenever I'm away. I called every night to check in on him and things were going well. I returned a few days ago. And I went straight to my in-laws' house where my son was. I spent the day there talking to my brother-in-law about what they did and such. I was playfully asking my son if he had good time, and he told me that, Daddy, took him to see the ducks at the park, and I paused after I heard him call my brother-in-law, Daddy. He did it again while my brother-in-law was talking to him. I was confused. My mother-in-law was just looking at me but said nothing. I asked my brother-in-law and he said it was nothing. But my son kept saying Daddy till the evening. I was so mad I corrected my son many times, telling him that this is uncle not daddy. My brother-in-law got mad and told me to let my son call him whatever he wanted. I confronted him about teaching my son to call him daddy, and he admitted he did that. He argued that I wouldn't have a problem if I let my son call some stranger daddy. I yelled at him and told him to stop whatever he think he's trying to do and to respect my boundaries. He walked out immediately, avoiding to discuss it any further. I was also mad at my mother-in-law as she was seeing all of this and not doing anything about it. I took my son and went home. My son still says daddy, and it hurts every time because he hasn't used this word since his dad's passing. I told my mother-in-law I won't be visiting any longer, and she started texting me saying I can't do that and I have no right. She said that I was being ungrateful for the people who supported me and I should stop being mean and using my son to get them in line. Demanding that I visit with my son. The trip was 3 weeks ago. It's my first since my husband's passing. He passed away a year ago. I'm sorry if anyone got confused by that. I just haven't been myself lately, I'm sorry. I thought I should mention this in case it is relevant. My brother-in-law's ex-wife had a stillbirth in 2018 and they both got separated months after. Not the asshole, your brother-in-law did something psychotic, WTF. That is so fucking weird and messed up. I would avoid that wacko too. And my condolences for your loss. My brother-in-law got mad and told me to let my son call him whatever he wanted. Fuck all of this. No, not the asshole. Saying I can't do that and I have no right. They have no right. Holy shit, not the asshole. Your in-laws are way out of line. How in the world does your brother-in-law think he is entitled to be called daddy now? That man has issues. And so what, have you started dating again? That does not mean your son has to call that man dad. Is there any way you could have your family help to take care of your son? I would not go over anymore if brother-in-law was there. And maybe not even go over at all, because your mill is enabling your brother-in-law to do this to your son. Not the asshole. That's his uncle, not his dad. It's great that your son can count on his uncle for a father figure, but if your brother-in-law keeps insisting on calling him daddy, he's either trying to replace your husband, or he's a creep. Either way, your brother-in-law was wrong to teach your son to call him that. Not the asshole. This can and very likely will damage your son later on one way or another if not stopped right now. Imagine him being older and growing up with this to one day find out his daddy is actually his uncle and his real father is no longer among us. Not to forget, it's just plain disrespectful to you and your late husband. Not the asshole. Oh hell no. I'd find alternate childcare and keep him away for a while. I'd also be showing him pictures and videos regularly to enforce who daddy is. It's flipping unbelievable that your mill let all this go down. I'd also ask them both how they think your husband would feel about them trying to replace him and have his child forget about him. Good luck. Condolences for your loss. This is sick. It's confusing to your son who has lost his real daddy, hurtful to you who lost a husband, and blatantly disrespectful to your husband's memory. I can't believe the mill is enabling it too. Whatever the reasons for doing this are, they're not healthy. Not the asshole. Your son doesn't deserve his father being erased from his mind like this. I'm sorry for your loss. Edit. Do you think they might be trying to hustle some custodial rights over your son this way? Firstly, I'm so sorry that you lost your husband. It's completely understandable that you feel so angry and upset by this, and you're not the asshole for feeling that way. Your mill and brother-in-law need to fully understand why their behavior would hurt you so much. But your question was about cutting contact with them. Do you think it was intentional or just thoughtless of them? If they've realized their mistake, it would be a shame to cut them off when they've so supportive until now. Maybe, once everyone has had a chance to calm down, you can set this straight with them and agree to maintain a relationship if they respect your point of view on this. Not the asshole. And you may want to get a lawyer involved if grandparent rights are a thing where you live. Brother-in-law is a jerk, buffoon, and way out of line. YWBTA if you don't contact a lawyer and cease contact with these people immediately. They have shown you they cannot be trusted with your child. They are manipulating your son, and as others said, custody or grandparents' rights are a big possibility. Contact an attorney for advice if you wish to protect your control over your child. Sorry for your loss, op. What your brother-in-law is trying to do is sick. Honestly sick. How can he not see how this is affecting you? What happens if heaven forbid you do move on and get a new spouse? He is confusing your son. Unless he plans to be there for the good and the bad, and offer the money and time behind the title, he doesn't deserve it. He hasn't earned it, and what he is doing is honestly just disgusting. Go and see. Not the asshole. Info. Do you think they're angling to try and take custody away from you? Not the asshole. Did that guy just try to steal his dead brother child? What the hell? They are going full psycho mode. Don't let them approach you or your child. If they are that insane, they could be dangerous. Wow, so very much not the asshole. Well done for standing up for yourself and your son in what must have been an incredibly difficult and emotional situation. I am so sorry your brother-in-law did that to you and your son, and I am so sorry for your loss. Please, please, please get your legal ducks in a row. Do not let them watch him when you go on trips anymore. I'd talk to a lawyer and find out what they recommend to make sure that they, should they, God forbid, sue for custody, have as little grounds as possible to succeed. Not the asshole. That was completely inappropriate and unacceptable behavior from your in-laws. Yes, your brother-in-law made the choice, but your mill didn't stop him. They're both exhibiting worrying behavior. Nip it in the bud. ASAP. Tell him that people could think you cheated on your husband with your brother-in-law and he is the real father of your child. Ask him if he wants that. Info. Did your husband die a year ago or 3 weeks ago? At the beginning you said he passed a year ago, but then say you went on a business trip 3 weeks after he passed. If the business trip happened a year ago, why are you bringing this up now? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just confused on the timeline. Edit. Wording. My condolences for your loss. ... Your mill and brother-in-law are nuts. I can't imagine one son dying and okaying the other son to become the new daddy. And then all their excuses. That is just some level of creepiness. Not the asshole. Also, do you have other people you can have your son stay with during your business trips and just general babysitting overall? This sub just blows my mind. Half of these I read and my initial thought is this has to be made up. Not saying you're making this up. I just never cease to be amazed at how many people are just absolutely insane. It really makes me wonder how many people in my life just appear normal. Definitely not the asshole. If this happened without coaching after your brother-in-law being a primary caregiver for your child for a while it would make sense, but coaching a young kid after a few weeks? Absolutely out of line. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Fuck those asshats. Don't ever let your kid be around them at all anymore. What a bunch of disrespectful creepy asshats. I'm so sorry for your loss and for this disgusting behavior. They are the ones that have no right to tell you anything. Not the asshole, and this is intrusive and disrespectful, especially as they never mentioned it to you. I'd avoid scorched earth. You may need them to help you with child minding. Hard to know what the right approach is, but if they keep this up, you may have to go LC. Sorry about the tragic circumstances. Wish you the best. Nah. You're grieving a husband. They are grieving a brother and a son. You are all in pain right now, and no one's pain is worse, or more important, than the others. You're just handling it in different ways, the best you can. Your in-laws have been of great help to you, aside from this one gross misstep, and it sounds like they want to continue to be of help. So it may be worth sitting down as a family and getting it sorted out. Look, we all miss him. I want his son to call his uncle, uncle. I think that's fair, and it's appropriate for me to insist on this. He loves you guys, and I want him to love you for who you are, not as a replacement for someone else who is now gone. Surely that's reasonable. Not the asshole, easily not the asshole. Frankly, it's absolutely disgusting that he'd be that disrespectful over his own brother. And his mother is just as bad for allowing it. Info: have you asked your MIL why she didn't correct your bill? I'm not sure punishing her is the right choice. Kind of sounds like she got caught in the crosshairs and wasn't sure how to respond to the situation. Not the asshole. 3 weeks, and he's trying to take the place of your husband. Not the asshole. Please explain to your son how rude and disrespectful his uncle has been to his real daddy. Let your son know it wasn't his fault to be part of that. Op. Not the asshole. You may have dodged a bullet here with that one. The red flag being what was done while you were away. And it partially opened a door that you may not have wanted and hopefully slammed shut after that. Keep all emails, text messages and voicemails. Keep them in a large file or box. Also document and put them all on a timeout. Make arrangements to have someone else either look at your son or see about taking him with you, but do not let them keep your son ever again. Or visit without you being present. Not the asshole. Cut all contact. This smells FCKN fishy. Not the asshole. He way overstepped. Welp, that's fucking weird. Not the asshole. Don't let your in-laws downplay this and make you feel like it's an overstep for you to draw the line. It's completely inappropriate behavior, and you'd best set boundaries and follow through with them for your sake and your child's. Not the asshole. I was also mad at my mother-in-law as she was seeing all of this and not doing anything about it. She's actively encouraging it. I won't be visiting any longer, and she started texting me saying I can't do that and I have no right. She said that I was being ungrateful for the people who supported me and I should stop being mean and using my son to get them in line. If you want a relationship with my son, there will be boundaries. One of those boundaries is that you cannot trick my son into thinking his father is someone else. That's perfectly reasonable. Until you get that, you won't be having visits with my son. Not the asshole. That is not his dad, that is his uncle. He's going to confuse the kid as he grows up. You have every right to not go back over. He overstepped. Just because he spoils your kid doesn't mean he can coach the kid to call him daddy. That's just disrespectful. He is disrespecting his own brother. I say go no contact with brother-in-law and slowly fix what he did, because he sure as hell won't fix it. NTA. What he did is beyond inappropriate. That is mental. I can't believe that your mother-in-law went along with it. I would have to take a large step back from that relationship as well. I'm not sure how you are going to manage your job and the trips without their help, but they need to realize that they are uncle and grandma, and you are the only parent in this situation. You will be the one making decisions for your child. And your brother-in-law is not and can never be daddy. Not the asshole. It's not your brother-in-law to teach your son to call him father. If your son did it on his own, fine, but that's just weird. Not the asshole. He's your son's uncle, not his father. You have every right to insist that he not make your son call him daddy. They are the ones in the wrong here. Not the asshole. Op, you need to do a few things. 1. Look up grandparents' rights in your area, state, if you're American. 2. Consult a lawyer, if you're going to cut contact. 3. Keep all texts and emails from them somewhere safe. 4. Find someone who you can trust with your son, or stop doing the trips out. If your in-laws can't understand how absurdly horrible it is to teach a toddler to call his uncle, daddy, then your problems with them have just begun. NTA. That's creepy. Are they trying to snatch your kid as bills? Time to make sure your ass is completely covered legally. Not the asshole. Your brother-in-law and Mill are psychotic. They should have never had done that. Although, I think there might be something else going on here. Maybe your brother-in-law has feelings for you and thinks that by making your son call him daddy you might start seeing him like a potential father figure for your child? And your Mill might just want him to fill that role, which is why she let it happen? Just my guess. Either way, it's messed up, and I agree with the no contact for the near future. He argued that I wouldn't have a problem if I let my son call some stranger daddy. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? You're making the right decision to keep your son away from him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I would respond to your Mill that you are not looking to replace your son's father and that she and your brother-in-law need to respect that boundary. By teaching your son to call your brother-in-law daddy, not only is emotionally damaging to his grieving wife, but will only aid in pushing the memory of your son's real father further away. Ask them to give you space while you evaluate the situation and ask that they consider their actions further. This will not be tolerated. Do not respond to them again unless they are truly apologetic. I'm so sorry for your loss. Op-X. Edit. Quick question. Is brother-in-law your husband's twin? Because that would make more sense of his actions in a weird way. Not the asshole. Bill is crazy and Mill is not in a position to make any demands. The fact that she did nothing to prevent this issue makes her just as crazy. I'd move and change my contact info so they can't have access to the kid anymore. He lost his right to be an uncle after that, and she lost the privilege of being a grandmother after supporting his sick BS. Not the asshole for many reasons all listed on other posts. I see it on here quite a lot when parents stop family from having access to their children and family come back with, "You have no right to do that." They literally have the only right to do that. No matter the situation, they have that right as parents. Wow, Bill is the asshole. Not the asshole. Never bring him around those people again. Something is seriously off about them, and with this crazy behavior who knows what mischief they're cooking up together. Not the asshole. Your brother-in-law was way out of line. Not the asshole, and document it thoroughly. Get your son to a therapist to talk about it, so that she can verify that uncle did this to your son. They are definitely up to something, and you need to be prepared, so contact a lawyer too. Not the asshole. This is pretty messed up, really. Not the asshole. May I also take this time to suggest much-needed professional help for your in-laws? And I'm not saying that they need counseling. Not at all. That would not be sufficient. What they need is a panel of professionals, to assess various areas of their dysfunction and maladaptive behaviors, so that a proper diagnosis can be reached. I imagine we're going to land on the cluster B realm, but we'll see, and proper treatment can be rendered. Not the asshole. That is so wrong and disgusting. What the hell kind of fantasy does your brother-in-law have in his head? It's just sick. It not only disrespects you but also your husband. Like he is trying to erase him from your life and son and replace him. I am willing to bet that the in-laws knew what brother was doing and actively encouraged it. Why else would they not only be unsurprised, but also not say anything? Stand your ground here, let this be the hill you die on, because this behavior is absolutely unacceptable. Not the asshole. Similar situation. I became a widow and single mother to a 5-year-old when I was 32, also because of a car accident. His brother also stepped up for about a year after, and because a father-like figure, he never called himself dad and would quickly correct my kid if he slipped and called him that. That's some weird shit that would not sit well with me either. Then their responses after really seal it. They suck. Sorry you're dealing with their shittiness on top of everything else.